You just lost your income. The bills do not care. The market didn't crash loudly. It slipped quietly, slowly, then suddenly, your portfolio dropped. Your company announced cost optimization. Your phone buzzed with that email. We appreciate your contributions. And just like that, your income is gone. But here's what you don't see. While you're panicking, while you're refreshing your banking app, while you're calculating how long your savings will last, billionaires are moving quietly, deliberately, and fast. Because for them, this isn't a crisis. It's a clearance sale. I've studied this pattern long enough to recognize it. Every economic collapse follows the same script. First, fear spreads. Then liquidity disappears. Then prices fall. And right at that moment when everyone else is frozen, the richest people in the world start buying everything. Not randomly, strategically. Because they understand something most people don't. Crashes don't destroy wealth. They transfer it. Let's break this down. The problem starts with you depending on stability. A stable job, a stable market, a stable system. But stability is an illusion, and billionaires never trust illusions. They prepare for disruption before it happens. That's the difference. You react. They position. Now think about what happens during a crash. Stock prices fall. Real estate slows down. Businesses struggle with cash flow. To you, that looks like danger. To them, it looks like opportunity. Because price and value are not the same thing. When fear takes over the market, prices drop faster than actual value. That gap, that's where wealth is created. But here's the catch. You can't take advantage of that gap if you're trapped. And most people are trapped. Trapped in debt. Trapped in monthly expenses. Trapped in a lifestyle that requires constant income. So when income stops, they don't buy. They sell. At the worst possible time. That's mistake number one. Billionaires avoid this by controlling liquidity. They don't just hold money. They hold accessible money. Cash, credit lines, liquid assets. Because during a crash, access is power. While others are trying to withdraw money, they're deploying it. Let me give you a real scenario. A business owner is struggling during a downturn. Revenue drops. Costs stay the same, pressure builds. Eventually, they're forced to sell. Cheap. A billionaire steps in, buys the business at a fraction of its value, fixes the cash flow, waits for recovery. And suddenly, a struggling asset becomes a profitable machine. Same business. Different outcome. Why? Timing. Now let's talk about your biggest internal threat. Fear. Because fear makes you do three things. You delay, you panic, you follow the crowd. And the crowd is usually wrong, especially during a crisis. When the market crashes, people stop thinking logically. They think emotionally. Sell before it gets worse. Wait until things are safe. I'll invest later. But later is expensive. Because by the time things feel safe again, prices are already high. The opportunity is gone. Billionaires operate differently. They don't wait for safety. They prepare for uncertainty. They understand one simple rule. The best opportunities feel uncomfortable. If it feels easy, it's probably too late. Now let's go deeper. There are three phases in every economic collapse, and billionaires prepare for all of them. Phase 1. Denial. People ignore the signs. Markets are volatile, but hope is still alive. This is where billionaires start adjusting, reducing risky exposure, increasing cash reserves, not panicking, positioning. Phase 2. Panic. Layoffs increase, markets fall sharply, news becomes aggressive. This is where most people lose control. They sell assets, they cut investments, they freeze. This is where billionaires start buying, slowly at first, then aggressively. Phase 3. Capitulation. This is the bottom. People give up. They stop believing recovery is possible. This is where the biggest opportunities exist, and this is where billionaires go all in. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't suddenly become smart during a crisis. You fall to your level of preparation. If you didn't prepare before the crash, you won't act during it. So what are billionaires actually doing right now? They're building buffers, reducing unnecessary risk, holding liquidity, strengthening income streams, and most importantly, They're waiting, patiently, because timing matters more than speed. Now let's flip this. What should you do? Not theory, reality. First, you stop depending on one income source. Because one income stream is not security, it's a vulnerability. The moment it disappears, you're exposed. So you build alternatives, even small ones. Freelancing, digital services, online income. Because during crisis, cash flow is survival. Second, you control your expenses. Not by cutting everything, but by removing unnecessary weight. Subscriptions you don't use, lifestyle upgrades you don't need. Because flexibility increases your survival rate. Third, you build liquidity, not just savings. Accessible money. Because during a crash, opportunities don't wait. And if your money is locked, you miss them. Fourth, you train your mindset. Because this is where most people fail. Not financially. Mentally, they hesitate, they doubt, they freeze. And hesitation is expensive. Let me be blunt. The next financial collapse is not a question of if, it's when. And when it happens, it won't feel like an opportunity. It will feel like chaos, confusion, uncertainty. But inside that chaos, there's a pattern, a system, a transfer of wealth, from the unprepared to the prepared. So the real question is not, will the market crash? The real question is, what position will you be in when it does? Will you be forced to sell or ready to buy? Will you panic or act? Will you follow the crowd or think independently? Because billionaires aren't lucky. They're prepared. They don't predict the future perfectly. They prepare for multiple outcomes. And that preparation gives them control. And control is everything. Control over your money, control over your decisions, control over your future. So don't wait for headlines. Don't wait for confirmation. Don't wait for fear to spread. Because by the time everyone knows, it's already too late. Start now. Build liquidity. Create income streams. Reduce dependency. Increase awareness. Because when the next collapse comes, and it will, you won't get months. You won't get weeks. You'll get moments. And in those moments, you won't rise to the occasion. You'll fall to your level of preparation, so prepare. Because in the next financial collapse, the game won't be fair, but it will be predictable. And those who understand the pattern will own the future. If this video helped you understand money in a more practical way, make sure to like and subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments.